everyone, I'm Dan Abrams, and this is Court Cam.
Call the buzzer. Call the...
Take him back! Take him out!
I hope you die in prison as well.
First, we head to Gulfport, Mississippi. This is the Harrison County Courthouse. This is a 1997 Toyota Tacoma. And this is 28-year-old Keith Rio Cavalier. At 5:43 a.m., Cavalier illegally parked his red pickup right through one of the windows of the courthouse. At first, Cavalier seems to be stuck inside the truck. But then, here he comes through the window. Fortunately, both he and his flip-flops appear to be okay. After taking a few moments to survey the scene, Cavalier stands there, cavalierly, and eventually walks away. Thankfully, because it was so early on a Saturday morning, the building was closed and no one was hurt. Police arrested Cavalier shortly after the incident. When asked why he did it, well, he had a perfectly good reason. He said he was trying to contact the police about his stolen drug paraphernalia. And apparently he felt this was the best way to do it. It is unclear whether Cavalier got his drug paraphernalia back, but he did pick up charges of malicious mischief and driving under influence. Now to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where Judge John Hurley is conducting remote bond hearings with inmates held at the Broward County Jail. 25-year-old Brian Noval believes he's only been charged with battery, but the record reads differently.
You were charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, domestic violence battery. You're going to be held no bond, sir, until further order of the court. Thank you.
The realization that he's going back to jail starts to sink in for Noval.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no, I'm not kidding you. That's the truth. You're not going anywhere. That's the truth. All right, thanks. All right, Suzanne
My
Wall.
charge was battery.
Oh, wow, I know, man. But that's the way life is. What did he say? Whoa. Hey, bring that guy back. So what did you just say when you walked away?
I called you a because you're...
Woo. Did you?
I had yesterday.
Okay, hold on a second,
I had
sir.
a battery charge.
Sir, this court is inclined to hold you in contempt of court, and I want to know from you, give me a reason why I should not hold you in contempt of court.
I don't see a reason why you shouldn't, because there's not a reason this should be here.
Okay, sir, I find you in contempt of court for using that type of language with the court you just used. I'm going to ask you if you have anything to say before I pass sentence.
I apologize, I was out of line. I'm just upset because this is not what I was charged with yesterday.
Okay,
I
sir.
was charged with a battery.
I accept your apology, and I will sentence you to 60 days in the Broward County Jail. Thank you.
After getting hit with 2 months in jail, it appears the foul-mouthed defendant may have finally learned his lesson. Or
Can I take the back in?
maybe not.
All right, sir, hold it. Come on back. Come on back, sir. Sir, I'm inclined to hold you in contempt of court again, and I'm going to sentence you to another 60 days to run consecutive to the prior 60 days. So now you're up to 120 days in the Broward County Jail. Do you have anything else you'd like to say? All right, sir, thank you very much. You're done.
You know you can do that.
Yes, he can, and yes, he did.
All right, thank you.
He was actually released 4 days later by the judge. Next, we go to a pretrial hearing in Louisville, Kentucky. The defendants are Mario and Jose Guzman, who are out on bond in connection with drug charges. Sitting behind the defense table is Mario's wife, Samantha Ayala. Today, the Commonwealth is asking to increase Mario's bond because of new charges, including second-degree burglary, tampering with evidence, and possession of marijuana. According to the prosecution, these offenses are a violation of his bond agreement. Hearing the motion is Judge Mary Shaw.
Your Honor. In your order, it specifically says no further violations of the law. He picked up new charges. He violated the law.
But the defense is arguing the bond should not be raised because the burglary charge is thin since the victim skipped town.
They don't have the victim because he left town because he's a drug dealer.
The Commonwealth is asking to raise Guzman's bond from $500 to $15,000, which the defense argues is too high.
I mean, we might as well say 100,000 full cash, Judge. It's an amount that Mr. Guzman can't post. That's not the purpose of bond. The purpose of bond is to make sure that someone comes to court.
After several minutes disputing prior testimony, the judge is ready to announce her decision.
I agree. New charges obviously have been picked up. Current bond is not appropriate. It will be $5,000 full cash.
If Guzman can't come up with a new amount, he'll be sent to jail as he awaits trial. A bailiff is ready to take Guzman away, but he has other ideas. Take another look. Guzman makes a desperate break for the door. Jose Guzman begs the judge for help. After the deputy deploys his taser, Guzman's wife, Samantha, becomes inconsolable. Court officers wrestle Mario to the ground as Jose shouts instructions.
Sorry, ma'am.
Shut up! No, my baby's sick.
Samantha is so distraught, officers place her in handcuffs.
She's sick.
Deputies finally remove Guzman from the courtroom. A few of the officers suffer minor injuries, and Guzman is hit with additional charges, 3 counts of attempted assault and criminal mischief. And his bond is increased another $2,500 for a total of $7,500. Now to the Seminole County Circuit Court in Sanford, Florida. It's 6:30 p.m., and a long one-day trial has come to an end.
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of driving under the influence.
That defendant is 46-year-old Lisette Gonzalez. Although a verdict for Gonzalez's DUI charge has already been reached, her attorney makes a final plea to Judge Fred Schott.
Your Honor, not enough evidence presented for the jury to find the verdict that they did. They didn't do all the field sobriety examinations that should have been done.
During the trial, it was revealed that Gonzalez was never given a breathalyzer or had her blood drawn. Yet, arresting officer Michael Wagner recorded that she tested above the legal limit of .08 in his official report. Wagner claimed it was an honest mistake, but observed what he believed to be intoxication.
I respectfully ask that this court grant the judgment notwithstanding the verdict.
The attorney is asking the judge to use his power to overturn the jury's verdict and acquit the defendant. It's a move rarely seen in the courtroom.
All right. This isn't a purely circumstantial case. And so I'm going to deny the motion for JOA.
It looks like the case is closed, but Judge Schott has other business with Gonzalez.
Now, we have this other case for driving while license suspended.
2 months after her DUI arrest, Gonzalez was ticketed for driving with a suspended license. Problem is, the only reason her license was suspended was because of the inaccurate paperwork filed by Officer Wagner.
I want to be enlightened.
It was a mistake, admittedly, by Michael Wagner.
I know.
He testified to that today.
He caused her to have her driver's license suspended for at least a few months for nothing. So are you going to no-process that case, or am I going to get mad at you today?
The judge is addressing prosecutor Diana Mears.
Perhaps you can get me, Your Honor, but at this
Why won't you wait a minute? Did you hear the uncontroverted testimony of this officer?
Your Honor.
Then I want you to take him up on perjury.
Your Honor.
Will you take him up for perjury?
He admitted it was a mistake, Your Honor.
No, but he lied. He lied on a sworn
Absolutely
citation.
not, Your Honor, and that is not true.
I'm dismissing. I'm dismissing. I am dismissing this charge. No, I'm dismissing the charge.
The judge has just dismissed the defendant's upcoming case, but he's not done yet.
This whole case was fishy, and I have no idea how they. You know what?
Address on file.
You know what?
State intends to amend
I'm granting.
and proceed on
I'm rescinding the sentence. I'm granting the JOA.
Judge Schott has just reversed his decision and acquitted the defendant on the spot.
So you're granting it because you don't agree with the state's decision?
I'm granting the JOA in fairness.
In fairness, because you don't like the state's decision today, Your Honor, on the case?
You know, now that I consider what Officer Wagner testified to and how many times he basically tripped over himself just to arrest this lady, with no real probable cause. You're done. Motion, JOA is granted.
And you're not going to provide a written order on that?
Nope. You want to appeal me? Appeal me.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Case should have never been done. Never.
Thank you for letting us know that, Your Honor.
The defendant, Lisette Gonzalez, walks out of the courtroom, free of all charges. Our next story takes us to Clark County District Court in Las Vegas for a kidnapping trial.
The defendant is here. He's in custody.
There's just one problem. The defendant's lawyer is nowhere to be found.
Can you check and see if he's going to join us?
After a 90-minute delay, defense lawyer Joseph Caramango finally arrives in the courtroom.
Judge, I was heading east on Sahara Drive, and I was rear-ended, and my car was undrivable. The person who hit me took off, and
Hit and run?
it was a hit and run, and here I am.
I'm going to tell you, be honest with you, you don't look right this morning. That's why I'm concerned.
Judge, my neck and my back is killing me, but I'm ready to go forward.
You don't think you need medical attention?
I think I do. I think I do, Your Honor. I may have suffered a concussion, Your Honor.
Because you hit your head?
Because of the whiplash, Your Honor. I've had multiple concussions before.
You've had multiple concussions.
Yes, Your Honor. But I feel like I can go forward.
You know what? Can I just see everybody back in chambers?
Behind closed doors, Caramango meets with the judge and is assessed by a courthouse nurse.
In the record reflect that Mr. Caramango is back in the courtroom. He has been checked out by the nurse. Now, the nurse said you told her you got hit from behind and then you hit a car in front of you. Okay, you left that part out with us.
Yeah, I did, Your Honor.
So you also hit a car? So it was a double hit and run.
I guess.
The judge is becoming increasingly suspicious of Caramango's story, and the prosecuting attorney isn't doing him any favors.
My observations were observing him that there was clearly something wrong with him. I noticed he was slurring his speech. I noticed he seemed unsteady on his feet. And when actually Mr. Caramango came back into the courtroom, he seemed very unsteady on his feet as he walked by and actually ran into our counsel table.
Things only get worse for the defense lawyer when the judge orders him to take a blood alcohol test.
I think you have a concussion. I think you're dazed and confused and can't tell a straight story because you're too intoxicated.
I admit that I did have drinks last night, and I lost my grandmother about 2 weeks ago. I've been under a lot of pressure, Your Honor.
Okay.
I'm aware of that.
So if you came to court intoxicated, you have a problem. Do you understand me?
Your Honor, I can represent as an officer of the court. I am not intoxicated.
Okay. So just go ahead and blow. Let's get it over with.
Go ahead, Susan.
You want to show me? Okay.
I am stone sober.
Mr. Caramango, if I was you, I would just be quiet at this. Okay, for the record, your blood alcohol is a .075.
Even though his blood alcohol content is slightly below Nevada's .08 legal limit for driving, the judge has had enough.
I have no desire to ruin your reputation or anything. We'll deal with it. I'll give you an opportunity to get it together. But at this point, I cannot absolutely allow an attorney to proceed.
The judge declares a mistrial, and Joseph Caramango's law license is put on disability inactive status. He's prohibited from practicing law in the state of Nevada and has not petitioned the state Supreme Court for reinstatement. We now head to Kalamazoo, Michigan, for the sentencing hearing of 53-year-old Bruce Embry, convicted of murder. Aquila Hegler is about to present her impact statement to the court. The man she faces down in the orange jumpsuit is her own husband.
I hate you.
7 months earlier, Embry shot and killed his 17-year-old step-grandson, Demetrion Hegler, in the family home. His grandmother, Aquila, who brought him up since he was a child and thought of him as a son, watched helplessly. Embry shot Demetrion after he told his grandmother that he overheard Embry talking to another woman on the phone.
You know how hard it was for me to stand there and you shoot my son in the head and he fall dead in front of me. You killed a part of me. He was such a good kid and you know that he was so humble. He never called you an aunt. He never was a threat to you. You took my child out for nothing. For nothing. Here you go. I'm coming to talk to you. I can't talk to my child no more. Took everything.
Despite her heartbreaking statement, Embry shows absolutely no emotion. The victim's uncle, Willie Warren, addresses him next.
He ain't never did nothing to you, Bruce. Never. He never disrespected you. He never cursed you. He never did nothing to you.
As court officers subdue the distraught Warren, tensions flare and a scuffle between family members breaks out in the rear of the courtroom. When order is finally restored, the victim's uncle can be heard sobbing on the floor. Embry was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Joining me now is Aquila Hegler. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. You know, watching that, your husband seemed to show almost no emotion at all. Were you surprised by that?
I don't know what happened that day, what drove him to do that, and I probably never will know. But honestly speaking, I truly believe that he does have some remorse, but he wasn't able to say he was sorry to us.
Your husband's family and supporters were in court that day as well. Was that difficult?
It was okay with me because I didn't have no type of animosity towards them until his mom never gave me her condolence, never. So on the last day of court, that's when I had a problem. His aunt came here on the last day that they were sentencing that man, and she opened up her mouth. And that's where all that anger just came back up again.
Now, Aquila, I noticed that you won't refer to your husband by name.
Yeah, I don't even want to say his name no more. Because not in a million years, I never would have thought he would have did us like that. And to take my child life for no reason, I couldn't grasp with that.
It just must have been so difficult for you. And I know your son, Willie, was overcome with emotion that day as well.
Well, he didn't see no remorse in the man, so he went after him. Well, during the time, the deputies had my son over there on the floor. I'm looking, trying to see that they don't hurt him, but instead they was just letting him get his emotion out.
Tell us a little bit about Demetrion.
Demetrion, he was the type of child anybody would like him. He always was trying to help somebody. He liked being around disabled kids. And I never knew that the impact that he made on people's lives until the visual that was held for him and at his funeral. I never knew that.
Aquila Hegler, I know how difficult this has been for you to relive, but thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. That's all for this edition of Court Cam. I'm Dan Abrams. Thanks for watching. Hi, everyone. I'm Dan Abrams, and this is Court Cam.
Take him back! Take him out!
I hope you die in prison as well.
First, we go to the Juvenile Justice Center in Nashville, Tennessee. It's after 9 p.m. 4 teens aged 15 to 17 have been left unsupervised while on a work detail, off camera in the basement of the building. As minors, these boys are staying here instead of jail while they await trial for crimes including armed robbery, auto theft, and murder. And as you can see, they don't plan on sticking around for their trials. They've just come up a basement elevator and are wearing what appear to be yellow security vests. While one of the young men begins making his way down the hall, he changes his mind and follows the others up the stairs. When they get to the ground floor, the teens bolt through the front entrance. No one's stopping them. Cameras catch the entire escape. Additional charges. It's later discovered that the 4 teens likely had help from the inside. 2 employees are terminated and arrested for assisting the juveniles escape. And this wasn't the first time a juvenile tried to escape this exact same juvenile facility. We go back just 2 years earlier. And these staff members have been tracking a teen as he makes his way through the ceiling, just a few feet above their heads. Though he's just out of reach, the ceiling begins to give way. The ceiling doesn't hold, and the defendant crashes through. Security's not giving up and immediately surround him as his daring, though poorly planned escape comes to an end. Watch again as the juvenile makes one last effort to flee. Security's taking no chances of letting him escape again. He's unhurt and immediately taken back into custody. After this incident and the most recent escape, the city of Nashville is considering taking over operations of the privately run center. We're back in the Kent County Courthouse for the sentencing of Jared Chance. He's been convicted in the gruesome killing of Ashley Young.
This was an extremely disturbing set of facts and circumstances where you killed and dismembered this young lady, Ashley Young.
Ashley was studying to earn her college degree and had previously worked in a nursing home. The night Ashley was killed, she was reconnecting with Chance at a local bar.
Only her torso was found in the basement. The police, although they did an excellent job in this matter, working every possible lead, could never find Ashley's head, her hands, or her feet.
Today, Judge Mark Trusock will deliver his sentence. But first, Ashley Young's mother, Christine, will get the opportunity to deliver a victim impact statement directly to the killer.
I thought I would be able to write this with all the things that I wanted to say, but I have such a hard time concentrating. Now, I cry 7 days a week. 7! I do not sleep well. My mind never stops. Never! I keep trying to live every moment we had together. Ashley, I miss you every moment of every day. You had no right to take her from me. To take her from her family.
I need to take a break.
Welcome back to Court Camp. We return now to the Kent County Courthouse in Grand Rapids, Michigan, for the sentencing of convicted murderer Jared Chance. He's been charged with murder in the gruesome killing of 31-year-old Ashley Young. Ashley's mother, Christine, has been given an opportunity to make a victim impact statement.
Jared Chance, I hate you. I want to rip you limb from limb. And discard you like trash. Like what you did to Ashley. You do not deserve to breathe. I pray that you will never see the light of day again.
Thank you, ma'am, and I'm very sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
After hearing the powerful and emotional words of the victim's mother, Judge Trusock prepares to deliver the sentence. But first, he has a few words of his own for the murderer.
You, sir, in my mind, are a very evil individual. You are clearly a monster without any conscience whatsoever, and you are someone who is a danger to society and should never be allowed free. Accordingly, it is the sentence of this court with regards to second-degree murder that you be committed to the Michigan Department of Corrections to serve a minimum of 100 years to a maximum of 200 years.
As Judge Trusock promised, Jared Chance is currently behind bars with no opportunity for parole until the year 2118. Next, we head to a Montgomery County Justice of the Peace courtroom in Willis, Texas, where friends and family are gathering for the wedding celebration of longtime couple Monica Morrison and Dean Birkenhoff.
As a judge,
joining them are their two children,
therefore, what God joins together,
along with Judge Wayne Mack, who's officiating.
Dean and Monica, today is the beginning of your continuing life together.
It looks just like any ordinary courthouse wedding.
Place that on her finger.
But what the happy couple doesn't know is that their special day is about to take a huge left turn.
Before I pronounce them, is there anybody here that would like to raise an objection?
I would.
Amanda?
I love both of you so very much. And I know the one thing in the world that you both would want so much is to have Colton here.
Colton was Monica and Dean's other son, who suddenly passed away 7 years ago. It was a devastating time for the family, but they found some comfort in donating Colton's organs to those in need.
And I know the one thing in the world that you both would want so much is to have Colton here.
This is 28-year-old Travis Stuffelbeam. He's an organ recipient, and he's alive today because inside his chest,
Colton's not here physically. He's here.
Colton's heart beats on. And this is the first time the couple and Travis have ever come face to face.
Travis wanted to be here because he felt like he needed to be here. From stethoscope. I would like you to have the opportunity.
I'm just bargaining it, and to me, this is where it belongs. And thank you from my family to you guys. Like, we are grateful, and the heart is finally home. Yes.
It's my honor and privilege today to pronounce you man and wife. Dean, you may greet your bride.
I don't think there is any words. It was special to hear them again.
Ladies and gentlemen, please step out of the hallway.
If dead, I will break out to him and I will kill more.
Yeah.
We now head over to North County Superior Court in Vista, California, where 45-year-old Diana Lovejoy is about to find out if she's been found guilty of attempting to murder her own husband, Greg Mulvihill.
We, the jury, in the above entitled cause, find the defendant, Diana Jean Lovejoy.
Lovejoy and local gun instructor Weldon McDavid Jr., with whom she was having an affair, have been charged with conspiracy to commit murder, attempted murder, assault, and battery. Lovejoy allegedly paid McDavid $2,000 to kill her estranged husband, Greg Mulvihill. Lovejoy and McDavid's plan included luring her husband down a dark road where he encountered McDavid, who then shot him with a rifle. But he survived.
We, the jury, in the above entitled cause, find the defendant, Diana Jean Lovejoy, guilty of the crime of conspiracy to commit murder,
That bang you heard
Guilty of the
was
crime.
Lovejoy's head hitting the table after fainting.
I need to take a break.
According to emergency medical technicians, Lovejoy appeared to be overcome by shock. She was unconscious for a time and transported to a hospital and treated. When the hearing resumes, McDavid can only weep. He's also found guilty of attempted murder and conspiracy to commit murder. A few months later at their sentencing, Lovejoy claims her innocence once again and makes a final plea to the judge.
I still care about Greg, and as much as I did love him. I loved him a lot. I really cared about him, and I still care about Greg. I would never take Kale's father away from him. I would never be able to do that.
Despite the emotional words, the judge hands Lovejoy a sentence of 26 years to life behind bars. As for McDavid, the trigger man, he receives a sentence of 50 years to life. We take you now to the Warren County Municipal Courthouse in Warren, Ohio, where some routine court business quickly spirals out of control. Kayla Raymond was recently charged with operating her vehicle without a license. Today, she's here for a bond hearing, but admits to the court she's high on drugs. Her bond's revoked and she's ordered to Trumbull County Jail. And that's when the trouble really starts. After the hearing, the bailiffs try to escort Kayla away, but she resists. And things quickly escalate. The 30-year-old puts up a fight. It appears Raymond might actually escape as she sends one of the officers to the floor. But he's quickly back up and the struggle continues. Despite the outrageous scene taking place, spectators notice the scuffle and either continue to go about their business or stand by and watch the scene play out. Keep in mind, Raymond was in court just on a no operator's license charge for not having her license on her while driving. As the officer tries to apply handcuffs, Raymond makes a desperate move. According to the police report, she bit both officers during the struggle. The incident continues before a third officer joins the scene and brings it to an end. Raymond is finally cuffed and carried out of the courthouse. Now Raymond's looking at additional charges of assault and resisting arrest.
I do want to say to Luis Bracamontes, my husband is a hero and he lives forever. He will stay with you every day and watch you through the eyes of every law enforcement officer that you see. He will leave you alone the day you die.
Next, we head to Sacramento, California, and the trial of cop killer Luis Bracamontes.
He's a man that should be forced to spend the rest of his natural life in prison.
In October 2014, Bracamontes shot and killed Sacramento County Sheriff's Deputy Danny Oliver in a motel parking lot. But the carnage wasn't over. He then shot motorist Anthony Holmes and killed Placer County Sheriff's Detective Michael Davis Jr. Bracamontes, who was in the country illegally, was finally captured, charged with 2 counts of murder, attempted murder, and carjacking. On the first day of trial, it seemed Bracamontes took pleasure in the crimes he committed.
Be silent. Ladies and gentlemen, please step out of the hallway.
Dead. The only thing that dead is a screw too. Kill more of them. I will break out soon and I will kill more.
Mr. Bracamontes, you will not speak out. If you do, you will be removed from the courtroom.
Throughout the trial, Bracamontes showed a total disregard for both the proceedings and the victims.
His lack of decorum, his laughing and giggling, he is a despicable and evil human being.
The trial lasted a month before a jury came back with a unanimous decision.
Regarding the charge, Luis Bracamontes
did unlawfully and with malice commit murder in the first degree, we find the defendant guilty.
We just need to hang him. I still have nightmares.
At sentencing, family members of the slain officers and other victims bravely stood before Bracamontes to offer statements to the court.
I feel like my heart has been ripped out of my chest. I will never have the opportunity to have a conversation with him, to see his smile, to hear his laugh.
Bracamontes seemed to relish the moment, smirking his way through the proceedings.
But I do want to say to Luis Bracamontes, my husband is a hero, and he lives forever.
Perhaps no one had a greater impact than Susan Oliver, wife of slain officer Danny Oliver, who reminded the killer her husband's memory would haunt him for the rest of his days.
The chains that are on you, those are my husband. When the sun doesn't shine on you, that is my husband. He will stay with you every day, watch you through the eyes of every law enforcement officer that you see. He will leave you alone the day you die, cold and alone.
Luis Bracamontes was sentenced to death and currently sits in San Quentin State Prison on death row. Joining us now is Susan Oliver. Thank you so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it. What was it like to have to sit in court during this trial, watching him smirking throughout the proceedings?
You know, I remember the first time that I went into the courtroom, I just didn't think of him as a man or a person. It was just evil.
Looking back on it, is there anything that you wished you had said or not said?
No, I really planned out my speech quite well.
But I do want to say to Luis Bracamontes, my husband is a hero, and he lives forever. The chains that are on you, those are my husband.
It's very difficult. He blew me kisses. He made sexual connotation faces and motions towards me. But I know I didn't want to get up and just be that angry person, even though a lot of it made me angry. I didn't want to be that, and I didn't want to display that as the wife of this fallen officer.
Tell us a little bit about Danny. What type of person was he?
Incredible guy who just loved his family. He has 2 daughters who he would have done anything for. If they needed protection, he was this big, strong Superman. And, you know, it's tough. Sometimes we have a big family event. My oldest daughter got married 3 years ago. I gave her away. My youngest will graduate from high school next year. You know, she won't have her dad sitting in the stands. Those are the tough moments, and those are the times where people need to remember the victims, because the pain goes a long way.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
You know, I know we all miss him very much, and we just hope his name stays alive, and we always try and keep it going by speaking out, because those are the things that matter to us.
Well, I can't think of a better person out there speaking on his behalf and on behalf of the Danny Oliver Foundation. Thank you for coming on the program. We do appreciate it.
Absolutely, anytime.
That's all for this edition of Court Cam. I'm Dan Abrams. Thanks for watching.